to the cloud, and let's share the screen. All right. So how are you guys? So welcome. This is going to be episode 23. Oh, we're up to 23 already. Of the Forge Coffee Break. Covering up for Augusto today. Augusto, it's gonna be back next week. He's enjoying a well-deserved vacation with his family. So yeah, like while we talk a little bit of Forge and also enjoy a coffee. I hope you guys have a coffee at hand. I have mine here. Yeah, awesome.
I'm still making mine.
Oh, come on. Oh, well, it's kind of early for you, right? So for me, it's already like this is my second cup of coffee. So yeah, so episode 23. So grab your mug, come up with questions, and let's see who do we have here. Let me stop my sharing. And all right, so who do we have? I recognize a couple of names: Mike Onabet, Chuck, Nadelko, Jared. Wow. It's getting to be a gathering here. And then from my team we have Michael Veal, Keen Wamsley, Adam, Kevin, Dennis. Who else do we have from my team? I think that's it about now. So how's it going? This is an open space for you guys to ask away. If you have any questions, anything that you want to share with us today. So it's an open floor. And also, if anyone from my team wants to share anything, please go ahead. And yeah, so I'm going to hand it over to anyone that wants to jump in first and ask a question. Yes, I knew it. Let's do it, I bet.
Actually, I don't have question, but I have like small scenario. So basically, we have the Forge viewer, the 3D viewer, and I would like to place a point on the viewer. So when you replace a point, that means you need to get the mouse XYZ and the DPID for the element. So technically, maybe you can attach to it like IoT sensor. Maybe you can attach to it comment, etc. And you can store them in the database. So when the model is load, you can load them from the database at the same time with the model. So if there is a hint or some place to start, and I'm using React with TypeScript.
Okay, so I think we do have quite a lot of examples about that. So I remember, go for it, Dennis.
Yeah, I think Michael has, and it's about the push pins. So I think you, Michael, have even extended it, something like you can place. And the push pin is a nice way of kind of putting the marker. There are plenty of samples there. If you want, kind of in a minute, I will put in chat my version, but hope Michael will put his, because his is like super featured. And the kind of the main idea behind it, and again, Michael, please correct me, is the ray casting. So it means that you are clicking on the mouse on the screen, and these 2D coordinates are basically ray casting array, and which intersects hopefully a geometry. If not, I think it will default on the ground. Yeah, Michael.
I was probably just gonna say maybe the data viz extension which has the sprites. It has the sprites, kind of nice. I'd probably go with that one actually, and there's some really nice documentation on how to use it and extend it. It's got lots of features.
Yeah,
have you got the web page?
For which one?
Yeah, so
for the data viz.
I put it in chat, so if you want, you can share it.
Yeah, it's in the chat. Also, I was gonna say about I have a couple of samples that I have done using React as well. That basically they do not put a point, but they do track the position where you, let's say, click on the model. And the reason I do this is because I tend to do like some stitching of other models on top of it. So let's say whenever I'm doing like some sort of like room configurator, I can track exactly where I'm clicking within the model itself in order to place something on top of it. So I can also share code from those samples. But yeah, I think pretty much it's something that we tend to see quite often, and so I'm sure that there is a lot of.
Yeah. Do you want to click on? Do you want to share your screen, Jaime, and go to the data viz example that Dennis has got?
1 second.
And if there's the data viz template, there's a hero template. It has npm modules for the React components, and so you could probably reuse some of those. And then in the examples section, there's a really simple example on just how to add sprites to a minimal web page without any React code. So it just shows you how to load the extension and get started. And then it's, I think it's under, yeah, that's the, and then scroll down. I think it's the very last section. Yeah, I think that's right at the very bottom there. It says something about complete source code example. If you click on that, they juggled the web page around a little bit, so now it's a little different before. And there you go. This is an example of just adding 2 little sprites. You can see there's like 2 fans floating above a stadium, and then the HTML code for that web page is right underneath it. And yeah, it's pretty straightforward. You just add like 2 points. I think there's an array structure in there somewhere. There it is. You put the positions XYZ, and then away you go. And then if you want to add click points, hit points and stuff like that, there's another example below that shows you how to do that. Add a hover card.
So you mean when you click, like let's say it's like click event. So when you click on the point, it could do something. You mean?
Yeah, you can click on the point and it can return back some data like an ID, or you can actually attach as much data as you want. So where it actually has the XYZ, you can actually add more attributes in there. And then when you click on it, it'll return those attributes. So yeah, it's pretty straightforward, but I can expand on it if you want. But it's all in the example section and
yeah. So I did place that link for what I'm seeing right now into the chat. So feel free to just grab it from there and then start looking into it.
Yeah, that's really great. So I'm gonna spend some time on it. I haven't seen it before actually. Maybe it's like new added. Like I don't think it's happened a long time.
The database stuff, yeah. It's not too. I'll say it's not recent from like last week or last month, but it's been there for a couple of months already.
Yeah, that's great.
Yep.
And I hear you use also React. So if there is any event in React that it tell that the model it's loaded, okay, there's something called the model is loaded, but there is something else about the data behind the model is ready. So basically you can put it in state and you put it in use effect. So it changed the state when the data of the model is ready, not the model. Because basically
Let me look up that. I use that in the viewer rock sample. So 1 second. Okay. So in this sample, the viewer rocks, I don't know if you're familiar with it. Probably you are. It's kind of like one of those that we tend to use quite a lot to like showcase the use of the viewer itself. This entire application, it's built with React. It's using Redux as well. And one of those event kind of like trackers itself, it's set up for the properties. So whenever you start like changing things into the model itself, it will react to that part of it. The code that's available in this location, so it's a little bit outdated. I will say it's not like up to date with new functionality of the viewer or anything like that. Something I gotta work on. But basically, you can find like the different kind of uses that I have directly from the swapping of the properties in order to track those different states itself. So with the different like mountings of the components and so on, it's quite like straightforward too. So let me place you this sample as well into the chat, and that way you can start looking into it.
Yeah, great.
Okay. And I think, all right. So, but yeah, I will say look into those. They're like good, like resources in order to just kind of like track the different states, and at the same time, also the other thing that Dennis and Michael mentioned about the adding of the pinpoints or hit points itself. I think the sprites example on the database is actually a really good one to follow along. Well, yeah.
Great. I guess there is all the stuff. I just need to read the documentation again.
Yeah, no, it's okay.
Yeah,
We have quite a lot of stuff. It's something that definitely we need to start like making better in order to make it easier for you guys to access. Yeah. So, all right. Do we have any other questions? Who's gonna go next?
Okay, I will ask something. If nobody wants, I want. Yeah. Is there any chance to use a viewer without model inside? Because if you want to open a viewer, you need the URL of some model data. And if there is no model or there is no 3D model, there is a message and you cannot see. But I need empty space because you saw I'm using a viewer not just to view, just to put data, something, visual data collector, and then send that data in the design automation. So I need only that canvas.
Okay. So Adam just shared a blog post that we have in order to kind of like do this simulation of the empty viewer. Yes. I believe we have, let's see. GitHub, it's available here for basically creating that empty viewer approach.
Great, that's it. Yeah.
Yeah. So let me place you the link for the blog post, and that way you can basically go through it and then also get the GitHub repo that it's all the way at the bottom. And thank you, Adam, for that. Oh, you already placed it. My bad. So it's there twice. Okay.
Yes, next. Thank you.
Yeah, sure.
I do have a question actually that I'd like to share. I'm having problem with an endpoint for the data management with using the patch method for items. So with an item ID, maybe I'll share my screen.
Yeah.
So you should see my screen here. So this method is giving me trouble. I'm basically trying to use it to, at the same time, move and rename an item in BIM 360. I'm actually being able to move the item. So I'm basically changing the parent folder ID, no problem, but the rename portion is not really working. And I'm not sure why, because like even here in the example, that's what's actually used. So in the data that's transferred, like they're modifying this attribute display name to new name for drawing in this case. And that's not working for me at the item level. I'm being able to split the action in two. So changing the location of the item using this method and then renaming it by using the patch version method. But I don't know why it's not working only one shot. I have the workaround, but I actually like it better to have both actions to be completed in one.
What? So is it
call.
giving you an error, or is it not just basically not changing anything?
It's just basically not changing anything. So here I'm in Postman. That's what I'm trying to send here. So that would be my call. The return is he's just returning me like the display name I'm sending is a new name.jpg, which is the extension that I have. So I'm making sure not to modify. But when I get my callback, my answer, it keeps the display method as the old one.
Okay.
The folder, like here, that's the portion that actually works, changing the relationship to the new parent folder.
Can you go back to the endpoint?
Yeah.
I think what's happening is that your attribute itself, well, it's being part inside of the data, right? Is it at the same level in your Postman call? So data type ID and then comma attribute and then display name?
Yeah.
Yeah, data type ID attribute. Okay, all right. So it is there. Weird. That's something that I'm gonna have to look into because it should actually change the. Can you go back to the endpoint again and then just let's see maybe like missing scope or something like that into it? I don't think that should be the case, to be honest, but I don't know. You always like kind of find this strange stuff that kind of like happens. So, and then it's data right. So you're passing in that scope, I assume?
Yeah. Yes, I am.
Okay.
I'm just gonna cross check again, but if I come here, I do have data right.
Data right? Okay,
yeah.
Cool.
Yeah, I do have it, and it's actually, as I mentioned, it's actually working on the version patch. So I don't really.
But the item ID should actually be changing too. Okay. Yeah. So if you want, send me an email. I can look into it, and that way we can like help you out with that. Let me post my email there.
Okay.
All right, so it's on the chat, and you can send me an email, and that way I can look into it.
All right, perfect. There's another thing actually I discussed with one of your colleagues, Xiaodong, I think. It's actually I'm not sure it's the right place to actually talk about this stuff, but if you're familiar with Workato or ACC Connect, which is basically a platform that allows to talk between platform and a cloud-based interface. We're basically having problems when we are calling to some of the endpoints in Forge because we're hitting the rate limit that is set for some of those calls, especially for, I think it's the get folder content, which should be here. So this endpoint here, which is having a 300 limit requests per minute, we're hitting that limit because it's my understanding that we're not using a client ID. Right, we're not creating an application to make calls through Workato. So this guy here, we're basically getting the information. Well, we're basically calling every customer that is using Workato is using the same client ID. So all customers at the same time, I think, are contributing to increase this rate. And we're actually getting it's a 429 error saying that we got too many requests.
So I think that if Workato itself it's using because I think they should have like some sort of increase on the limit request, but that should be coming from the Workato side. But that's something that we can double check unless someone in my team knows about this.
But the rate limit is set on the Forge side, right?
Yeah, it is. But since you're saying that the Workato like client ID, it's basically the one that gets shared across all the different users.
Yeah.
That request for increase on the limit itself should be coming from Workato itself.
Okay. I understand.
Yeah.
But wait a second, is it your Forge app inside Workato which is calling this endpoint?
No, that's the thing. We don't really create forged apps that we can use in Workato. So it's basically Workato is the application itself.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's associated with one forged app for every customer.
Mhm.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
guess we gotta check what's the limit that Workato actually has, because 300 requests per minute, like it seems a little bit low for Workato being the one that manages all their customer apps and so on. So yeah. So yeah, again, send me this information as well on the same email, and that way I can look into those two things.
All right. Well, thank
Yeah.
you.
Yeah, sure. All right, who's next? Michael.
Hey guys,
Hey.
if it's still time, I'd like to ask about the three-legged authentication with no client-side application. So how can I do that? Like basically, I'm trying to keep developing my Forge Hackathon project.
The WhatsApp app.
Yeah. So like I don't know how to use a three-legged authentication since I'm accessing the data from WhatsApp from my cell phone, for example. So I don't know how I can get this three-legged authentication. So if you can help me with a start point, something.
Then you are getting which information from, like BIM 360 or ATC? Is it issues?
Yeah, I'd like to get issues. Yeah, so I'd like to start getting issues, documents, and everything that requires three-legged authentication.
Yeah. So this kind of like keeps being one of those things that tends to be not pretty straightforward, because what you're getting, it's basically user context data. So in some way, like whenever you want to get data from, let's say user A wants to get their data, right? That's the reason it needs to approve your application in order to be able to obtain the access to their data. So bypassing a three-legged authentication like that, it kind of like keeps it being a problem. But let me think, how can we, because I don't think there is something that can kind of like jump into WhatsApp in order for them to authenticate, which I don't think that's gonna be a feasible thing to do. But if anyone else has like any ideas or clues about how can we like go through this, that'll be really cool. But I at this point, at this moment, I don't know how. It's something that we'll probably have to look into, because the ideal thing will be to go through a two-legged. But I know like issues, for example, it doesn't have that availability to be returned to you unless you pass in the three-legged context, unless you have some sort of external kind of like service that feeds that token into your WhatsApp app. But that's just going completely outside of the integration, and I don't know how feasible will that be. So yeah.
I guess I had the same problem with the publishing all the items through second logged authentication. So basically, that means in your case, you need to access like data. It's accessible only with third logged authentication. But there's something called X user ID. Basically, you use BIM 360, and then one of the APIs, you can get the user information. Inside those user information, there's something user X ID, not the user ID. It's like small number. This number, you can use it with the header. You can access more stuff with the second logged authentication.
But you cannot access the issues with that. That's the problem. Like some API calls, they do take the X user ID, which that would be kind of like the solution. But issues specifically, I don't see. I only see like the valid authentication being the three-legged. So that's in some way kind of like a bump in the road there. So
There is a trick,
thought
actually, I
about-
used it, sorry.
No, actually, I thought about using a database somewhere, like
Yeah.
online database, so I can like cross data from WhatsApp number and some record on the database. But I don't know if it's the best approach to do that.
I don't know how secure that will be, to be honest.
Yeah.
But I did the same also before I find the X user ID. I used the refresh token, so I made it always refresh token every second. So you will never lose the. So you need just to copy paste it, and then you keep refreshing, so you can. But once it stopped, the server stopped. Good luck.
But you need to do, in order to get the refresh token, you need to do it at least once, right?
Exactly.
Yeah. So that's the main issue.
Well, actually, if I send a link to the user to click and open the browser, maybe I can.
Good. Yeah.
Actually, I don't know how to. It's like I'm thinking about WhatsApp web. That it's easy because I'm using.
Yeah,
it
because
on
it
the
will
computer.
like pop a window in order to get
So-
that authentication.
The problem is when I use it on my phone, I get the information back to WhatsApp because I need to send it to Twilio to send to my application. So it's a bit tricky.
It's interesting. I don't think it's impossible, but I think it's something that definitely we got to think about how to approach, because from the web it will be a lot easier. Like it was just basically like prompt the user to go to just get like some sort of pop-up or something like that in order to do the authentication. For example, I use Insomnia. And Insomnia, if you want to do an OAuth 2, basically gets a pop-up inside the environment in order for you to authenticate and then pass in the token value. The callback URL needs to be the one dedicated to Insomnia as well. So I don't know if there is some sort of way. I will say try to investigate how can you do like OAuth 2 in WhatsApp, because that could be another way as well, because that's how you basically do it in Insomnia. But in WhatsApp, I don't know, to be honest. I haven't actually used the WhatsApp API. So, but
actually, you can't use it. You have to use some solution that connects to WhatsApp API because it's not open to everybody. So it's like I'm using Twilio.
Okay.
That I don't know if I can do this using Twilio because I don't have access. I tried to get access. I send them a message, but I don't think they read it.
Yeah, it's like I know like WhatsApp API access itself, it's kind of like dedicated to really like large businesses and so on.
Yeah.
So that might be a little bit tricky, to be honest. But yeah, no, it's something interesting to look into for sure. Okay, so we have one more question, and also we're running out of time. But JK was asking if I want to know a good resource to start with some samples for reality capture. Maybe Dennis, you have anything that you can share with JK?
Well, first of all, to start with the reality capture is very easy because it's straightforward. The workflow is simple. You have a bunch of images, you upload them, get the result. Apart from documentation, because always the documentation is your friend, the very good resource is my blog post. I'm searching for it now. And as in any API, be it kind of reality capture, be it data management or something like that, Postman or Insomnia should be your tool kind of to start learning the API, because this way, first of all, you can get only the things that you need out of this API. And the second is that you get a how to say understanding on what you are sending and what you are getting, and then you go to the code. So let me just quickly find the kind of the post. And at the end of the post, I am giving you a link to the Postman collection, but I usually advise to build by yourself. So it's actually, how to say, a way of learning an API is to create your own post collection. So here is the reality capture, the blog post. Jaime, since you are the host.
Yeah, I'm sharing right now.
Okay. And at the end of this, well, first of all, it will explain you all the steps that you need. But again, this should be seen along with the documentation. And also, it will present you some undocumented calls. So for instance, you created a scene and you uploaded the images, but you have no idea where images actually uploaded correctly. Maybe they are there, but they're like zero sized or something like that. So these are a couple of undocumented features that shows you the content of the photo scene and everything. And kind of, again, the workflow is simple. Upload, create a scene, upload the files, start the processing, get the results. And at the end, you will see not only the Postman collection, but links to my personal GitHub, where I actually have like something like reality capture Go CLI sample or something like that. It's the simplest way. It's something like you just have a bunch of images, run this application in your folder, and it will get you a result.zip. So this is a very good application to just test on to see if you get the result that you expected. Usually on GitHub, I'm putting the releases for, since it's a Go application, I can compile it for 3ds Mac, for Windows, for Mac, and kind of Linux. So you can just grab the binary, run in your folder with images, and it will work. Of course, it will expect the client ID and client secret to be as environment variables.
All right, awesome. Thank you so much, Dennis. So JK, I hope that answered the question that you were looking for.
Thank you so much. I will give it a try, and I'll get back if I face any problems. I'll get back.
Awesome, thank you so much.
Yeah, just a quick question: Are you looking for like photographs converted into a triangle mesh, or are you looking for a point cloud solution? What's the workflow there?
Actually, I have tried working on point clouds and I'm working on it. So parallelly, I wanted to start thinking about reality capture as well. So I thought that this would be a very good chance to like start working on point cloud as well. So sorry, the reality capture side as well. Since I have like images, I have like architecture models, as in point clouds, as well as like reality capture models also. So I'm trying to figure out a method like where I could combine all of this, the model data as in the 3D model data, as well as the point clouds, as well as the reality capture data. So I'm trying to come up with something. So basically for the point clouds, I had a discussion with Peter. So I'm working on it. So I wanted to know the possibility of working on reality capture. So I think that this is a very good starting point. I could start looking into it and I could figure out something.
Cool.
Awesome. All right. So we are out of time, a little bit over. So thanks for hanging out for a couple more minutes. I think you guys can see my screen about the next coffee break, correct? All right, awesome. So next coffee break, it's going to take place on November 3rd. Augusto will be back for that one. So I'll be around here as well. So yeah, I want to say thank you again for joining us for this coffee break today. It was quite active, a lot of questions, which is pretty good. And like we have said in the past, like if you have any other questions, you can reach us out to forge.help@autodesk.com or directly to either one of us. It's like that. This is kind of like the main point about this these coffee breaks for you guys to get to know like who's kind of like behind that curtain, and then who can help you out with that. Another thing, we have an upcoming accelerator that's gonna take place actually the week after that coffee break. So if you wanna continue working on some of your projects, I will say just look into the Forge Accelerator section in the Forge website and then apply for that one. We still have open spots for people to join us. So it's still gonna be virtual. So you can do it from the comfort of your home. And yeah, so let us know if you have any questions about that. So with that, I want to say thank you again, and I will catch you guys next time.
Thank you.
Thank you, guys.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Thank
Thank
you.
you, everyone.
Goodbye.
Thank you. Bye bye. Good day.